From these incredible heists to the absolute darkest parts of the human mind. Crime stories just have this undeniable grip on us. And this cover from the crime book, wow, it just captures it all, doesn't it? The quotes, the famous faces, the sheer drama of it all. So let's get into it. Let's unpack the powerful and, yeah, sometimes unsettling reasons we're all so captivated by crime.
I mean, that's the big question, right? Think about it. We binge-watch true crime documentaries, we can't put down detective novels, and we follow these high-profile trials like it's the season finale of our favorite show. But why? What is it about people breaking the rules and shattering the law that just pulls us in so completely?
Well, the crime novelist Peter James, who actually wrote the foreword for this book, he really hits the nail on the head. He calls it an endless fascination. And that word, endless, tells you this isn't just some passing trend. It suggests there's something really deep in our psychology that's drawn to these stories. Maybe a need to understand the very people we call monsters. Okay, so one of the most powerful archetypes in our whole crime obsession is the rebel, right? The romanticized rebel. These are the outlaws who, even though they did terrible things, somehow became these folk heroes in our imagination. Just listen to this line, supposedly from Bonnie Parker herself. It's perfect myth-making. That's not the voice of a cold-blooded bank robber, is it? No, that sounds like a tragic heroine, the star of some grand romantic drama. She was basically writing her own legend. And you know what? It totally worked. And this picture just captures that legend perfectly. We're not just looking at two criminals here, we're looking at icons. Bonnie and Clyde, they built this whole image of glamour and defiance, sticking it to the banks and the government during the Great Depression. To a lot of people, they represented this kind of dangerous freedom that, let's be honest, from a safe distance is incredibly appealing.
But here's the thing. That whole romantic story they spun, it was a total fantasy. The story of Bonnie and Clyde does not end with them riding off into the sunset. As the book points out, their story ends in a relentless torrent of bullets. Because the reality is, true crime always has victims. And that glamour, it always, eventually, disappears.
But it's not just rebellion that gets our attention. We're also completely fascinated by sheer criminal brilliance. There's just something so compelling about the ingenuity behind a perfectly planned and executed crime. Okay, just take the Antwerp diamond heist from 2003. I mean, get this. These guys got past heat sensors, Doppler radar, magnetic fields, the whole shebang. They cracked a vault that was supposed to be completely impenetrable, and then they just walked away with a massive fortune and vanished. It's like a real-life Mission Impossible, and the level of planning is just, it's astounding, really. The book calls it the perfect crime, and for good reason. It wasn't just about stealing stuff. It was a masterpiece of strategy, of skill, of execution. And there's a part of us, that can't help but be in awe of that level of skill, even when it's being used for something illegal. But our fascination isn't always about admiring rebels or geniuses. Sometimes it goes to a much, much darker place. We feel compelled to look at the stories of people who do the most awful, unimaginable things. And here you can see two very different kinds of horror. With Jack the Ripper, it's the terror of the unknown, right? This phantom who was never caught, leaving us to fill in the blanks with our own worst fears. But with Ted Bundy, the horror is almost the exact opposite. It's the terror of the familiar, the monster who looks just like everybody else.
And that's exactly what makes Bundy so terrifying. He completely shattered the idea that we can spot evil from a mile away. The guy was smart, he was good-looking, he was charismatic, and that is so profoundly unsettling because it forces us to face this terrifying idea that evil can wear a really friendly face, which makes his story a cautionary tale that continues to just horrify and fascinate us.
So we've looked at the rebel, the genius, and the monster. Let's try to pull all these threads together now and get back to that core question. What is really fundamentally driving this obsession of ours? Well, according to the book's foreword, it pretty much comes down to a few key things. First, it's about survival. By studying what happened to victims, we're subconsciously learning how to not end up in the same situation. By trying to understand the criminals, we learn what warning signs to look for. And finally, let's be real, there's the thrill. As one former bank robber said, it's all about the adrenaline, and we get to feel that rush from the safety of our couch. So, in the end, our fascination with crime really seems to reflect our deepest instincts,
our drive to survive, our need to understand the world, and, yeah, that quiet little craving for a thrill. Which really just leaves us with one last thing to think about. Whether you're drawn to the clever heist, the tragic outlaw, or the monster next door, what does your favorite crime story say about you?